Hello, welcome to the first session of Pranayama 1. Although I am going to refer to some sutras and some part of theory, this is a completely practical session. It is a little bit different from the rest of the sessions though, because you are not required to do anything with your body or with your breath except to just listen, but whatever I am going to say is pretty important. So, please do listen carefully. I have broken up this first session into smaller chunks, so that you do not have to sit in one place at one time and listen to the whole thing at one go. We do not want to make a beginning of pranayama with the mind being fatigued or with the body being tired. So, you can definitely listen to them in smaller chunks, but please do listen to the whole thing. The question that I am trying to answer today is, what is the curriculum of Pranayama 1? Part A. One of the main things we are trying to understand in Pranayama 1 is an appreciation of this concept that we are transitioning from a grosser practice to a subtler practice. In Sanskrit, the words that are used are sthula to sukshma, but let us leave aside the Sanskrit. I am sure in English language you are familiar with those two words, gross and subtle. Let us look at a couple of examples. So, what is an example of something gross? And I am talking in the context of things that we are taking in from the environment, and everything that we perceive from the environment is done through one of the five senses or through the mind. So, let us think of something gross, let us say through the sense of taste. Something, let us say something that is sweet, that is exceedingly sweet, that is very obviously sweet, and ice cream. So, the gross taste of the ice cream is its sweetness, and this sweetness is so obvious that a lay person would very instinctively say that yes, it is sweet. You do not require a lot of sensitivity, a lot of understanding of the concept of taste, etc., to know that it is sweet. In contrast to something like, let us say, the sweetness of a dragon fruit, or a boiled or a roasted piece of sweet potato. It is sweet, but it is way milder. It is so mild that somebody who is used to only eating ice creams and gulab jamuns and pastries will not appreciate that sweetness at all. Maybe they will not even acknowledge it as coming within the realm of sweet, but that is a transition from something that is very gross to something subtle. There is another example that I really like, which also has to do with this sense of taste, and as Indians, all of us are used to, we have been used to, since the last 2-3 generations at least, we have all been tea drinkers, not just tea drinkers, actually we have all been chai drinkers, and we brew some pretty inferior quality tea leaves. When we add milk to it and we add sugar to it, we sometimes add cardamom, ginger, and that is the taste that we are used to. It is a sort of obvious taste, that is the taste we like. However, if you ask a professional tea taster, if they do at all dare to taste our tea, they would not consider it to be a very sophisticated taste. The kind of tea that they are used to tasting, the flavors would be much more subtle, and their palate would be used to the subtlety of those flavors, to the extent that they would probably not like to disturb their palate by exposing it again and again to very strong flavors. That is the difference between grossness and subtlety. Even as practitioners of asana, our senses are pretty gross. What we catch are very large movements, very strong sensations in our body, and the subtle movements, the subtle observations, the subtle sensations, we often miss them. So, what are the attributes that we are trying to cultivate in order to catch the subtleties, the nuances? Patience and sensitivity, and developing sensitivity takes patience, and it is going to take time. So, one of the important curriculum of Pranayama 1 is to develop patience and sensitivity, so that we can transition from gross towards subtle, from sthula towards sukshma.